how'd you fix the offense?
Well, yeah, as you know, I had very little to do with it. Like our job, I said it after the game, and it's always the case. And you're as a head coach, as a staff, you're always working to put your guys in the best possible positions, right? That's all it's not all you're thinking about, but it's on your mind every day as you're watching your team, or getting ready for practice, getting ready for the scouting part of it, watching other teams. It's just it's a constant. You just over and over, in your mind of how do we put our guys in the best position to be successful, and so we were, there were some things that worked well for us in the four games leading up. Belmont was 5 games ago before Murray, but the 4 games leading up to that, we were, the guys had played, done enough to be in position, tied basically with either 5 to go or 4 to go or 3 to go or under a minute in the 4. But yeah, offensively it had been a challenge in terms of getting some points on the board. We got the ball close to the basket. We got good catch and shoot 3 opportunities. I mean, we had a lot of that happen in those 4 games. The one adjustment we did make, Cole, was to play a little bit faster. Right? We wanted to move the ball, get the ball up the sideline and attack. If we weren't able to attack, get to a quicker ball screen, or immediately get to a pin away and get started that way. And that felt like that helped us. But again, I'll go back to where I started. It's putting the guys in the best position, and I think that because we've got good players, right? And our job is to make sure we get them in positions where they're confident and they got a little bounce in their step offensively, so they can catch a little rhythm. And because that, as we know, offensively, it really feeds itself, doesn't it? Something good happens, and all of a sudden the next good thing happens, and the next good thing happens. Like, offense has a way of doing that, and we hadn't had that for 10, 12 days. So the one adjustment was to play a little bit faster. Can we get the ball into the front court? Can we attack them before they get set? And other than that, it was guys just playing maybe with a little bit more confidence, especially once we started to make some baskets.
Coach, you're down to 10 games left. You start thinking about these seniors. They got 5 home games left, and there's probably no senior that's probably made a larger impact than Trey Campbell, who's started almost every game he's been here. What allowed him to start right away when he got here?
Yeah, I would say his consistency, probably, Nelly. His approach, each day is the way he goes about it. His demeanor and his personality, game night, whether something good happens or it doesn't, just his consistency there. I think for Trey, it's been his consistency. Now over the course of his time here, he has increased what he's done. What he's done in the off season in terms of his work and his preparation. What he does right now. And it's been a couple of years, but I would say what he's done right now in the last 2 years, while we're in season, getting in every day, and the level that he's doing it at is probably different than when he was a freshman, and that's pretty typical for most guys. So he's increased his the amount of time that he's dedicated to the weight room and to his conditioning and to getting in and getting his shots up and working on his game. I just think the consistency with the way he does, with the way he goes about things, okay? And his ability to handle the ups and downs. When you're a young player, that can be challenging. To handle the ups and downs of what's a normal or typical season for everybody, no matter how old you are, right? You're gonna have those ups and downs, and he's got a maturity about him and a consistency to him that has allowed him to handle those things even as a freshman. Right? Real credit to him and real credit to his family, his mom and dad, and the way that he approaches things. Obviously is in most ways tied back to them as a family and mom and dad, and you know, their consistency and with Trey has been it's been great.
117 games and counting career starts. That's a pretty impressive number for anybody, really.
Yeah, you know, even before all of this changed 3-4 years ago, you know, you aren't going to see it much anymore. Right? I mean, but the 117 you're talking about now, you didn't see it that much even prior to the big changes of 3-4 years ago. So it does. It says, I mean, you have to do a lot of things right over and over and over to be in that position. Right? You've got to be a good enough player, right? But you've got to have a great approach to things. You've got to take care of. You know, you've got to take care of your body, and you got to take care of the weight room, and you got to you have so many things that you have to do and pay attention to, and have the, as I mentioned, the consistency with, like, to play that many games, let alone start that many. Yeah, so a real credit to Trey.
And then out of curiosity, because none of us can remember, there's 2 games he didn't start as a sophomore. We're kind of wondering what led to him coming off the bench in those 2 games.
My guess is he was hurt.
Okay.
If I had to guess, I would have to. Did he play in both games?
Yeah.
Oh, then maybe he wasn't hurt. I would have to go back and take a look. I would have to think about it. I would have to figure out what, look back and see what was going on at that time. Yeah.
From Belmont and Murray at 8-2 leading the league down to Valpo, they've looked good lately. So a group of 8 teams here that look like they can compete for the regular season or what transpires in St. Louis. Can you recall this level of parity in the league?
Yeah, I don't. I'd have to give that some thought as well to see. Like, you know, I know I talk about it every year that the league games they're challenging, right? The league games are hard no matter where you're at, right? No matter what kind of team you've got and where you're at in the standings, and so the games are always hard, you know, regardless of who you're playing against and whether you're playing them. Most of the games are close in the league. You know, as I think about it, Cole, it feels like there's more older players now. So, you know, when you get to, you know, we're right in the middle, right? We've got a lot of older players. Some of the teams you mentioned that are maybe a game behind us, Valpo. I'm not sure if they're a game behind us or tied with us, but they've got some older players, right? I mean, and that's what the transfer portal allows you to do that. So you know, I think about Indiana State. You know, number 23, their power forward. He's a really good player. He's an older player. So that would be worth, you know, taking a glance at, is how far down do you go where you've got some older players that are one-year guys, you know, that just got to those teams. Obviously, before the portal, you weren't in position to do that. Go out and get a guy who's got 4 years under his belt, and depending on situation, of course, 3 or 4 years under his belt. So that may be one of the things to take a look at. But beyond that, I've always felt this. It doesn't mean that every year the Valley has, it was 10 and then 12 and now 11, right? That every team is great. Because that certainly isn't the case, right? You're going to have, whether it's us or anybody else, you're going to have some teams. You're going to have 3-4 teams that have really good years, and you're going to have 3 or 4 teams that just miss it. You're going to have 3 or 4 teams that weren't quite as good that year, right? Whoever they are, us included. But the games are always hard. That's what I've felt in this league, is that whichever part you're playing in, whichever those teams you're playing against, the games are always hard. And that part's no different this year. But like I said, the ability to go and get older players isn't just for the teams that are having a better season. That's for everybody in our league. Everyone has the ability now to go and get older players. And those older players are, they're hard to play against. You can win with those guys.
Do you have an update on how far along the rehab, recovery process is with Tristan right now?
Oh yeah, he's it's gone well. I would guess it's another 10 to 12 days, in that range. Okay, I don't know He won't play tomorrow or Wednesday, and I don't think he's going to play Saturday. So I don't think it'll be this week. But then I know we've got that break that we don't have a midweek game. I think we play what would be the Friday after that against Bradley after the Saturday home game. So there's a little bit of time there. It feels kind of like 10 days, give or take a little bit. But his stuff has gone well.